Sydney McLaughlin Levrone dominates 400 m. Unstoppable season at 47.78. Paulino and Naser push limits. The sun had barely dipped behind the grandstand when the air over Zurich Stadium turned electric. It wasn't just another Diamond League night. It was a coronation waiting to happen. Cameras pointed, the crowd swelled, and every heartbeat in the stand seemed to sync with one name whispered, chanted, worshipped. Sydney, Sydney, Sydney. At just 26, Sydney McLaughlin Levrone had become more than a champion. She was a phenomenon, a poet of the lanes, a woman who had redefined what human limits looked like on a stopwatch. Tonight, she wasn't running hurdles. Tonight, she was running the flat 400 meters, her latest experiment in dominance. And what followed would rewrite everything we thought we knew about sprinting. The numbers that broke the world. 47.78 seconds. That was a number that would echo across the athletics world. Not just a personal best, but a world-leading, history-bending masterpiece. Only 2 women in history had ever run faster. Marita Koch, 47.60, 1985. Jarmila Kratochvilova, 47.99, 1983. And now, decades later, in an era of clean sport and precision training, Sydney McLaughlin Levrone stood alone between those legends, unbothered, unshaken, unstoppable. The season of ascension. The 2025 season had already been extraordinary for Sydney. From Eugene to Paris, from Oslo to Zurich, she had been a symphony of speed and serenity. Each stride, quiet thunder. Each race, a masterclass in patience and power. At the U.S. trials, she cruised to 48.12, the fastest American time in over 40 years. At Lausanne, she dipped under 48 again, 47.98. And now, in Zurich, she was chasing the ghost of time itself. But what made this season remarkable wasn't just the numbers. It was her transformation. Gone was the shy teenager who once ran with nervous eyes. This Sydney was different. Still soft-spoken, still humble, but burning with something divine, a peace that powered her. When I run, she once said, I feel God's rhythm in my lungs. Every race is worship. The rivalry reignited. Paulino and Naser. Of course, no masterpiece exists without challenge. From the Dominican Republic came Marilady Paulino, the reigning world champion and pride of Santo Domingo, a quiet warrior, known for her consistency, her grace, and her closing speed that could turn bronze into gold in the final 50 meters. And from Bahrain, after years of absence and redemption, came Saeed Naser, the 2019 world champion, whose 48.14 had once looked untouchable. 3 continents, 3 women, 1 destiny. The stage was set not for a race, but for a statement. The call to the blocks. The announcer's voice cracked through the stadium's hum. On your marks. Sydney bent down, hands pressed the track, poised like a blade. Paulino glanced her way, steady, calculating. Naser rolled her shoulders, fearless, ferocious. The camera zoomed in on Sydney's face. Her eyes were calm. Her lips whispered something only she could hear. A prayer, a promise, a beginning. Set. Bang. The first 100, the calm before the storm. Sydney burst from lane 5, her start clean, powerful, precise. By 80 meters, she was already even with Paulino, half a stride ahead of Naser. But what struck the commentators wasn't her speed. It was her control, her head still, her arms balanced, her rhythm metronomic. She's floating, said the announcer. She's not chasing anyone. She's chasing perfection. The second 100, the quiet destruction. Down the backstretch, Sydney began to open up. Every stride was a lesson in efficiency. Her footfalls sharp, her breathing measured. Paulino pushed hard, trying to stay with her. Naser, her trademark aggression kicking in, began to attack the curve. For a moment, it looked like the race would tighten. But then, as Sydney hit the 200 mark, she glided. No tightening, no falter. Just seamless acceleration. The curve, where champions break or bloom. The 300-meter mark has broken many world-class athletes. That's where lactic acid meets disbelief. But Sydney McLaughlin Levrone isn't most athletes. She attacked the final bend with poise, her back straight, her arms slicing through air like blades through silk. The stadium rose. The commentators lost their composure. She's flying. This is something special. Paulino still fought, head down, arms pumping. Naser grimaced, her form fraying. But Sydney, she didn't fight the pain. She flowed with it. The final 100, where time stood still. The final straight was pure poetry. Every millisecond stretched. The crowd's roar fading into a hum of disbelief. Sydney's face was serene, no strain, no panic, just focus. At 350 meters, she was clear. At 380, she began to lean forward, not out of fatigue, but purpose. And as she crossed the line, 47.78, the clock froze, the stadium erupted, and history bowed. The silence after the storm. For a few seconds, there was no sound. No one knew what to say. Then, as a number appeared on the board, 47.78, the silence exploded into chaos. The crowd screamed. The announcer shouted. That's one of the fastest times ever run. Paulino collapsed in exhaustion, laughing in disbelief. Naser stared at the board, shaking her head, not in defeat but in awe. Sydney raised her arms slightly, almost shyly, as though acknowledging something sacred. Then she smiled, soft, humble, unassuming, because for her, this wasn't about records. It was about revelation, post-race emotion, faith over fame. In the post-race interview, Sydney's words were simple. I just give glory to God. This season's been a journey, a lot of patience, a lot of trust. I wanted to see what I could do with a full 400, and I'm just grateful. The interviewer pressed. Did you expect to go under 48? She smiled. I just wanted to run free. Sometimes, when you stop chasing numbers, that's when the numbers come. The eternal question, how fast can she go? After Zurich, the debate reignited. Could Sydney break 47.60, the world record set in 1985, a record shadowed by questions of its era? Some said yes. Some said she already had, spiritually, if not statistically. Coach Kersey hinted. We haven't seen her peak yet. The scary part? She's still learning the 400. 47.78 might just be the beginning. The philosophy of flight. When asked once what it feels like to run, Sydney answered not with science, but soul. It feels like flying inside your own heartbeat. And perhaps that's what the world saw that night. A woman who didn't fight the track, didn't battle her rivals, didn't race against history. She simply became motion. The legacy of the 47.78. In years to come, children will watch the replay, the stillness, the precision, the grace. They'll see a woman whose power came not from muscle, but from meaning. A woman who turned running into revelation. And as sports writers summarize her season, they'll use many words, dominance, divinity, destiny. But one will stand out above all. Unstoppable. Epilogue, the last lap. Months later, at a charity gala, Sydney was asked to describe her 2025 season in a single sentence. She thought for a moment, then said softly, it wasn't about being the fastest. It was about learning how to breathe while flying. And the room, full of world champions and dreamers alike, fell silent, because in a world obsessed with speed, Sydney McLaughlin Levrone had found something rarer, stillness and motion. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, and share. Till next time.